Hakuna Matata, July 10, and it's a little after 5 o'clock in the evening. Just made a major stride yesterday evening, and I got both of my mirrors installed, and the electric mirror adjustments work, which I was so surprised. I was sure I had broken a wire in there somewhere. I had to fiddle with them so much, but I got them in there. Very happy with how that turned out. Oh my gosh, that was such a pain. Today I'm really excited to show you some progress I did, something I've been dreading to do for the longest time. I applied caulk. I'll show you. This is not the area I applied it, but the way this bus is designed from the factory, this gap is filled with caulk, right, all the way around. I removed it all prior to paint so I can get the paint up in there, and in the process of doing that I did get some scratches, and there's a few spots that had some rust that was just a pain, but I got it done, got it painted, and it came out great. And now it's time to put the caulking back in. I've been dreading it. This afternoon looked like the rain was gonna hold off, so I gave it a shot. I want to show you the product I used, and I'm going to tell you how I did it. I got this at Lowe's. Alright, it's called Roof and Flashing Polyurethane Sealant, Chimneys, Joints, and Shingles. The description of this product is a little bit different on the box that the tubes come in, as well as on the website. I guess they upgraded their label or something. It's not very descriptive here. But I go back here. Oh, Made USA, how about that? So, commercial grade roof and flashing sealant for forming flexible, permanent, water resistant, and weatherproof seals on exterior gaps and joints. Okay, it tells you all the stuff it's made to stick to. It doesn't say it's made to stick to glass or paint, but it sticks like crazy. It's a polyurethane sealant. So now I'm going to climb up, and well, let me tell you a little bit more how I worked with it before I climb up on the bus. Before I got started with using this sealant, I have like really fallen in love with Gorilla Construction adhesive, available. I've seen in Walmart, and I've also seen it in Home Depot. I don't recall seeing it at Lowe's. It's an orange, black, and white tube. I've talked about it before. It's a great sealant. It's super easy to work with, but you got to use mineral spirits. If you're going to use your finger to smear the stuff around and make your fillets or whatever, you got to wet your hand and keep it wet with the mineral spirits, and then the stuff doesn't stick to you. It's just like using a water-based caulking, poly seam seal, or any other big names with water, but you use mineral spirits. So that being said, I was real tempted to use the same stuff on here. It's a white, so it would show off and not look that good, so that was a deterrent. And I've contacted the manufacturer. They said it's not designed to use as a caulk. It was the same BS kind of answer you expect from any organization just trying to save their own butt. But I couldn't get out of them if it was UV protected stuff, like this stuff is designed. I read on there somewhere, if it's not on this label, the other label that's on the box, this is UV stabilized, and it's black. So when I got ready to do this, I mean, I was really reluctant to even start this because, man, I got the bus painted. I don't want to have to get up in there and try to remove this gook, and it's really sticky, nasty, messy stuff if it gets out of hand. So I didn't know what it was going to be like. It was a little bit of a leap of faith to start using it and just go right on without doing a test on anything. But I'm just too tired, and I got to get some progress on this thing, so I tried it. So I cut the tip. There's a foil seal in here. I punctured it with a piece of coat hanger. Before I got started, I did do a test. I took the coat hanger and took some of the sealant off the coat hanger, got it on my finger, and then I took some mineral spirits because it does say on here mineral spirits cleanup, which that's what actually got me to buy this thing. So when I put the mineral spirits on my finger, it dissolves the stuff like almost instantly, almost exactly the way the Gorilla adhesive works, which that's a polyurethane sealant as well. That's actually an adhesive. This is a sealant. So there is a difference in that. So what I did is I got up on the roof, I brought a razor blade with me, and a box of disposable rags, paper towel rags, my little bottle of mineral spirits I transfer into, that's easier to handle than the whole gallon jug, and a roll of electrical tape. I'll talk to you a little bit about the electrical tape that I used. It's 3M 33 plus. It's the only electrical tape I buy, and you might think this is like petty thing here, but this stuff is very, very flexible. It's super 33 plus. It's very flexible and has an excellent adhesive. Makes it very, very easy to work with this tape for doing all kinds of stuff, you know, usually electrical stuff, but it makes an excellent masking tape for jobs like putting on this polyurethane, because the adhesive is solvent resistant, and so is the plastic vinyl tape, and it's very stretchy. And now let me see if I can climb up on the bus here, and I'll get into more specifics. Okay, here we go. We're up on the bus. So what I did, you notice how I got this line of screws. These large ones are the original ones that came with the bus. This is actually a reinforcement plate that I had to put on here before the paint, because there was a crack in this. This was oil canning right here, probably like crazy when they drove, the previous owners drove with this thing, and there was a long area of this that was cracked and leaking water inside. And the only way I can figure out how to repair that was to do what I did here. Is I had this piece of sheet metal that was about this size, and I had already patched these holes where the flashing lights were, this and then also on the other side. So I mean, it's not pretty, but you know, it was the best I could do. I mean, I couldn't weld down there because the glass was still in here, and you know, I didn't want to try using fiberglass or any kind of sealants and have to fight with it later. So all right, this was the decision I made. So before installing this, I used the Gorilla construction adhesive underneath this metal, and then all the screws. And if you check other pieces of my YouTube channel, you know my method is I drill all the holes in this piece of the diameter that the screw will bite into, right? The smaller size, about the size of the screw without the threads. And over here they were just through holes because the threads were already in the bus. And put the sheet metal up here, get like 2 screws in it, and then drill clean through all the way around to get the holes in the bus exactly aligned with this metal. Remove this piece and enlarge all the holes accordingly. All right, so that's the whole deal on that. But I needed to get in here and get the caulk in, because this gap looked like, you know, like that without it. So I focused on just doing the top because it would be what I thought would be the hardest. It's really hard standing up here on the cowl piece. I'm on my bare feet so I don't scratch up the paint. It's very awkward because I got to lean into the windshield and press my knee on the glass. It's kind of painful on the knee there and all that good stuff. So I had all that fighting me, plus all these little screws. And I didn't want to make this a nasty, ugly mess. So here's where the black tape comes in, the electrical tape. I used it to mask the area. And you can just see right there on the edge where the caulking went over the tape edge a little bit, but for the most part, I was able to spread with my finger and get the caulk below the edge of the electrical tape. And what was great about getting this tape on there is I was pulling it along and like tapping with my finger and getting it to adhere to the edge where I needed it to go. And once I got a distance of like 12 or 18 inches, I just came back and started tapping it, and it formed around the screw heads. And geez, I couldn't be any happier. It came out so nice. So I did kind of overfill the seam by like twice as much caulk as I needed. I filled it round just as an experiment to see if it was going to come out smooth enough that I could just leave it. But it didn't really fill in there well enough. So I came back with the finger and did the smear and had big gobs of it coming off. I was going to put masking on the glass. I kind of wished I did for a while, but after I got done, it was like no big deal because the glass cleans so easily. I used a razor blade to go along the glass while the caulk is still wet and just scrape the excess off, and then I came back with paper towel and mineral spirits and just wipe the glass clean. Let's see, what else can I tell you about this? Well, darn it, there's a little bubble. Hopefully there won't be many of those. I was real careful to not create air bubbles in this. But anyway, I mean, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but holy cow, that really did come out nice. So I used, you can tell by how much the handle is sticking out in the caulk gun, most of that tube of caulking just to get across the top here. So probably I could have used half as much. Now that I've learned the method on how I want to do this, if I can get this kind of results down the sides and across the bottom, I'll be tickled. Yeah, there you can see the tape line that I had. So I'm going to get a couple more tubes of the stuff. Oh, well, one thing I did too, since it's been a while since I painted, I wanted to make sure I cleaned up and around and all that in there, so I used a paper towel and 91% rubbing alcohol, just plain old isopropyl alcohol, to clean the dirt and any oil that may have landed on there. So all of it is good. Very, very, very happy that I got past that. Oh my gosh. No, okay, so the other thing too is this is laminated glass, and you could see how the water has been getting in between the laminations, and I wanted to seal that as well as fill in that whole valley in there. I didn't need to seal this. It didn't leak. It was fully bonded to the vehicle and there was no water leaks, but I needed to get that sealed to make sure that two things, water wasn't getting up in there, and if it did and it would freeze, who knows, maybe I could break the glass. But also I wanted to make sure I was able to get a coat of the caulking on the edge to seal the top edge and keep water from getting in between the laminations. See right there, you can see more of it. That's where the laminations are separating. I don't know if it's separating or getting, the plastic is, who knows, whatever you call that. Let me see if I can get a good shot on the edge here. So, where the heck are you? Here we are. So the way down in there, there's this like foam stuff, and that's like probably some adhesive kit that holds the glass to the bus, probably flexes. That's the part that's up adjacent to the metal way down in there. And then you could see the little line in the white, which is paint that got on the edge of the glass, the white stuff there. But that little line in the middle, that's the lamination plastic piece that's in between the glass. So, hey, I've talked on about this enough. This is just the greatest news ever. It's starting to rain, got a couple drops of water right there. So at least we're ahead of that. I'm pretty sure that this is already skinned over and I don't have to worry about water getting on it. But great news, making progress. Have a great day, y'all. Okay, Hakuna Matata. So it's Saturday, July 13, and we're back at the caulking job here, and I wanted to take a minute to show you how I do my masking. It would have been nice if I could actually show you the technique, but I mean, you just have to get the idea of it here. You see how this tape is able to turn around corners like this. This is, like I mentioned earlier, this is Scotch Super 33 Plus electrical tape. I think it works great for all kinds of stuff, and it works great for masking too. Makes a nice clean edge. So I put the tape all along where I want the caulking to stop, and I'm a little bit wider here than I think I want, but I'm gonna leave it. It's close enough, I think. Just gonna mean a little bit more caulking. All right, I'm kind of just practicing right now, you know, how it's gonna, when I go to do the wipe thing with the finger, so I can feel the edge of the tape with my finger, and it's a good fit. Okay, so around here, this is going to be a little weird because there's a big gap here. I would actually like to go a little bit further in right there with the tape. Maybe I will just put another piece of tape over the top of this and feather it in a little bit closer, so I don't have to have such a large fillet of caulking around that corner. And around the bottom, it's much more straightforward and easy. It's a narrower gap. Let's go take a look at the other side. So yeah, we're a little bit narrower on this side. I think it's because the glass is further to the right. I don't know if it's so much about the tape being further in there. And we got the same thing going on down here. I'm just realizing this right now as I'm recording this. I'm gonna add another piece of tape and get a little bit further in there, because as I'm doing this like practice run with my finger here, I can feel my finger go down into the groove a little bit. It's actually not bad, but I don't know, I'll think about that here in a little bit. But we're ready to apply caulk. I might actually take some of that regular old blue masking tape and put a strip across here, because that'll be easy. It does like instantly wipe off with a towel and mineral spirits, so it's, you know, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, we're getting ready to do the final spooge of urethane sealer. And if you missed it on my previous video, I'll show you the stuff I've chosen to use. It's polyurethane sealant I picked up at Lowe's. Roof and flashing polyurethane sealant, chimneys, joints, and shingles. And it's weather resistant. It doesn't specifically say it's UV resistant, but hey man, I'm going with it. So, all right, I'll be back once I get moving along on this thing, and hopefully it will go as well as it did across the top, which I did the other day. What's interesting is it's a little sticky. It feels like silicone is, you know how when silicone cures up, it's got that like slightly sticky. I think I might. You can't even see this from down below, but now that I'm up here looking at it, if you look across, I got the caulk all the way across, and it's, man, damn near perfect the way it laid out. So I'm happy with that. And I get a razor blade and scrape that thing right there. All right, here's the mineral spirits I'm using. I'm calling it mineral spirits. It's paint thinner. I've transferred some of this into my plastic bottle because it's easier to work with. And this is the leftovers that I used the other day. And what I like doing is I leave a little squeeze out in the end of the caulk tube so I can grab a hold of it and pull it out. And with the Gorilla adhesive, it seals the end up good enough that I could just start to go. But I tried squeezing the handle and nothing's coming out. So I'm going to try this next trick. Let's just take a wood screw and screw it up in there and then yank it out. I may have to cut my tip a little bit larger. And then when I pull it out, it might pull out the blockage and then we'll be good to go. Okay, I don't have too much time here because the stuff is starting to set off, but I didn't like the way it was going. I was trying to fill this up with one shot and the bead is just too big, and it seemed to start to create little air pockets in how the caulk was like folding over itself. So instead I'm going to do this in 2 shots. And so here's the spillover. Just going to use my razor blade here and get all the excess off the windshield like that. And there's a lot of excess on the tape, but I've pressed really hard along the tape edge, the black tape edge, if you will, electrical tape edge. So I know that that's going to be a real nice fine line, and all the extra stuff that's out here on the edge of the electrical tape and into this blue paper tape, I'm just going to leave that so I don't make a mess. And speaking of messes, it takes a lot of paper towels to work with this stuff. I only got 2 hands here, so I'm going to stop recording, wipe off my razor blade, and probably the one paper towel I use to wipe off this razor blade, I'm just going to toss it in the grass over there. Because once you've done that, that's kind of like it, man. And over here I'm seeing I got to give this another wipe. Alright, so I just added some more. So there's what my bead looks like before I wipe it. And you can see I didn't fill up the area all the way to the tape. When I wipe it, it's going to spread some, but I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to let this stuff, once I get done, across the bottom, I'll be able to get it in one shot, but I'm hoping that I can put another layer on top of this to give you the rest of the fillet that I want after it's cured. We'll see. Alright, so something I didn't mention earlier, you got to pull the tape off while the polyurethane is still wet. I'm having a little difficulty maneuvering here. So I want to show you here, this is some mess that I made, and here's a paper towel with some mineral spirits. You see how quickly and easily the mineral spirits just instantly cuts this stuff. Makes it really easy to work with. So I've already cleaned up everywhere else. Alright. I'm going to come back later with my Gorilla adhesive and fill that gap in. Looks like I missed a spot. I wanted to keep this caulked just so that the rainwater coming off the windshield in the front of the bus would be directed down through here rather than going behind this panel. That's how it was originally. Oops, missed a spot right there. Alright, let me get down from here. Alright, so this area here, I didn't get enough in there. I was probably just a little bit too timid. I was afraid I was going to get air bubbles. And maybe I was. But I'm going to come back in a day or two, re-tape this off, and put another layer on it. All the way up to the top. This whole side. It's just that the gap here is bigger, and this is elevated kind of high. So I don't know, maybe I could have done it with one shot. The whole bottom came out great. I got a little bit more cleaning to do on this side. It's kind of a hot day and a humid day, and I think the combination of those two causes the polyurethane to kick off quick. So it was skinning over. There's a little bit of a thing there, but I'm not going to wipe it. If I try to wipe that, it'll be a disaster. You just gotta leave it. Same here. If I try to wipe that, there's just no way I can do it without making a huge mess. So, it came out great. I wiped out this has got the same thing here on this side. This has got some height to it. The glass is higher, it seems. So there's more of like a roundness you would like to have with the fillet. And I ended up wiping this out a little bit more than I would have liked, but I needed to get a firm wipe along the edge of the tape in order to make a good line here. If you leave a big goober over the tape, when you pull the tape off, it'll make a big mess. It'll do stuff like this. It'll pull the overlap. So that's the key, is whenever you do your wipe, you've got to wipe down firmly along the edge of the tape so that the thickness of the caulk at the edge of the tape is only the thickness of the tape, pretty much. All right, so we're just gonna leave this, not gonna touch it. I mean, there's a couple little pulls in there where it was skinning over. So also the trick here too is you can pretty much, let me back up a little bit. When you're using the mineral spirits to smooth this out, you want to make sure you've got the caulk already covering the areas it needs to stick. Because if you get mineral spirits on the surface before the caulk, I keep calling it caulk, the polyurethane, before the polyurethane comes over to the surface, the polyurethane is not going to stick because it's got a contaminated surface of an oily mineral spirits coating there. So the first thing I do is I wipe with a dry hand and get the caulk to completely fill the areas. Then you can just pour mineral spirits on the top of this stuff. And I probably should have done that more over here where those pulls were. I was just wetting my finger. But you can saturate the area with mineral spirits. You know, I mean, not just like pour it on there, but you know, get the whole area wet. And it becomes just super slick, kind of like, I don't know, mayonnaise or something, thickness, viscosity. And it doesn't stick to your hand at all. You just can keep wiping it and rubbing your hand all over it and smooth it and form it any way you wish. And then it cures up perfect. And that's what happened right here. Let's see if I can get a good glare on that. Where the heck are you? There it is. See how nice and perfectly even that is? For two reasons. One, this is an easy area to work with. It's vertical and it's right out there in the open. And when you pour the mineral spirits on it, drizzle it, okay? It just runs down. Then I was able to rub my hand down it. And an absolutely perfect finish there. Over here, I was dealing with this hand a little bit and my hand was wiggling some. But yeah, it's all in the technique. Probably better to practice this on something not so right out there in the front like your windshield, but there you go, man. Came out great. I'm all sealed up. Oh yeah, I forgot to show you this. This is all the paper towels I used on this side alone. Let's see, did I already pick up the ones on this side? No. So, you know, every time you do a wipe, you've got the stuff all over your hand and you can't touch anything else. So you got to take this big goober of caulk that you've wiped off, wipe it off your hand onto something. And so that's what this is right there. So I clean up, fold the thing in half and toss it in the grass. And now I'll be in cleanup mode and I'll pick it all up.